Hey everyone, Leo here with an in-depth XRP update on November 2nd, 2025. XRP is currently trading at 249, and today we're exploring one of the most discussed topics in the community: the potential for Ripple to implement a strategic supply reduction through a burn mechanism. This is an educational analysis based on public data, on-chain metrics, expert opinions, and ongoing community discussions, not financial advice. Always conduct your own research, consider market volatility, and consult professionals before making any decisions. Let's begin with the fundamentals. XRP operates on the XRP ledger, a decentralized network designed for fast, low-cost cross-border payments. The total supply is capped at 100 billion tokens, with approximately 56.7 billion currently in circulation. The remaining tokens are held in Ripple's escrow accounts, which release up to 1 billion XRP monthly to support ecosystem growth, but often a portion is relocked. A supply burn involves sending tokens to an inaccessible address, permanently removing them from circulation. This mechanism is already built into the ledger, where each transaction burns a small fee, currently equating to about $7,000 worth of XRP daily, or roughly $2.5 million annually based on recent activity levels. The idea of a larger intentional burn by Ripple has been gaining attention, especially amid discussions of regulatory clarity and institutional adoption. For context, Ripple's CTO David Schwartz has previously commented on supply dynamics, noting that demand will ultimately shape how escrow is managed. No official burn announcement has been made, but community models and expert analyses are exploring the implications. Pulling in fresh insights from X, the conversation is active. Just today, Crypto Chrome shared a detailed model. If Ripple burned 20% of XRP, Gemini's math points to 66. Escrow nearly halved, circulating untouched. Less supply, more pressure. Wild model, not a prediction. This post has garnered 159 likes and 30 reposts, sparking debates on scalability. Similarly, a Cryptodil News offered a balanced view. We will not see $10,000 in 2025, but 3 to 5 plus this year, with ISO 2022 and multiple ETF approvals. Although, I do genuinely believe XRP will hit $10,000 in the next 5 to 15 plus years. It's almost inevitable. With 99 likes, it highlights long-term potential tied to real-world integrations. Another perspective comes from XRP Avengers. Analysts now see XRP reaching between $10,000 and $35,000, fueled by institutional demand and reserve-driven liquidity. This has 391 likes and 87 reposts, reflecting optimism around reserve strategies. On the skeptical side, ChartNerd TA cautions, XRP holders, targets of $10,000 are economically impossible. That's more than 5x the entire global GDP. With 22 likes, it reminds us to ground expectations in broader economic realities. To understand this better, let's dive into supply and demand mechanics. Price is influenced by the equation: price, total demand, effective supply. Key demand drivers for XRP include: 1. Cross-border remittances. RippleNet already handles billions in annual volume, with partnerships expanding in Asia and Latin America. 2. ISO 2022 compliance. As the global standard for financial messaging rolls out this month, XRP's alignment positions it for increased bank adoption. 3. Real-world asset, RWA tokenization. Projects on the XRPL are tokenizing trillions in assets, from real estate to commodities, driving liquidity needs. 4. Institutional interest. Recent filings suggest XRP ETFs could launch soon, potentially bringing in billions in managed assets. On the supply side, Ripple's escrow holds about 43 billion XRP. Monthly releases are controlled, but if a portion, say 20% or more, were burned, it could reduce total supply significantly. For example, burning 20 billion tokens, 20% of total, would leave 80 billion in existence, with circulating supply potentially dropping to around 45-50 billion over time, depending on relocking practices. Let's explore some conservative scenarios with math. Current market cap is roughly 2.49 multiplied by 56.7 billion, equaling about $141 billion. If supply drops to 40 billion, a hypothetical 30% reduction accounting for burns and locks, and market cap remains stable, price would adjust to $141 billion divided by 40 billion equals $3.53. However, if demand doubles due to ETF inflows and RWA growth, realistic given projections of $16 trillion in tokenized assets by 2030, market cap could reach $282 billion, pushing price to $7.05. Scaling up, Gemini's model referenced in a Crypto Chrome's post suggests a 20% burn with steady demand could lead to $66 over time. Extrapolating conservatively, a 50% supply reduction, 50 billion burned, combined with 3 times demand growth, might point to $100 plus in the medium term. These are illustrative models, not predictions, and assume no external shocks, like regulatory changes. Community reactions vary widely. At Zach Rector, 7 shared a 2025 timeline. Final 2025 XRP timeline. XRP November. Pump. Coming $5 to $12. XRP by first part of December. With 690 likes and 38,000 views, focusing on short-term catalysts. Oravi 07066 12912 agrees on high targets, but notes. Agree. $10,000 to $50,000 per XRP would basically mean it owns half the planet. This underscores the need for perspective. XRP's valuation stems from utility in a $7.5 quadrillion annual FX market, not direct ownership. Skeptics like at XRP Maximo point out, Ripple has become a company full of empty promises. The on-chain AMM and DEX have almost zero volume. Valid, but counter data shows AMM volume reaching $50 million daily last week, per recent reports. At 25 hours awake echoes urgency. It has to happen with supply shock, with 467 likes, tying it to broader adoption. Now, let's address common myths to provide clarity. Myth 1. Burns are just hype with no real impact. Reality. Ethereum has burned over $15 billion in ETH since 2021, contributing to deflation and price stability. XRP's fee burns have removed over 10 billion tokens since 2017, demonstrating the mechanism works. Myth 2. High market caps are impossible. Critics compare to global GDP, but utility tokens like XRP are valued on transaction velocity. If XRP captures 0.1% of global payments, daily volume could justify trillions in cap over decades. Myth 3. Ripple controls too much supply, suppressing price. Escrow is transparent and audited, releases fund development. A burn would signal commitment to decentralization. Myth 4. XRP is only for banks, not retail. While institutional focus is key, retail benefits from ecosystem growth, including DeFi on XRPL. On-chain metrics reinforce momentum. XRPL's total value locked, TVL, has risen 300% year-to-date per Masari data. Exchange reserves are declining. Binance's XRP holdings dropped 15% in Q3 as long-term holders accumulate. Transaction volume is up, with daily burns increasing proportionally. What might trigger a major burn? Potential factors include post-election regulatory clarity in the US, enabling clearer guidelines for digital assets. ETF approvals, with filings from firms like BlackRock testing XRPL integrations. Strategic reserve initiatives, where excess escrow is designated for burns to enhance scarcity. Partnership expansions, such as deeper ties with SWIFT or central banks for CBDC interoperability. Again, these are speculative based on public discussions. No confirmation from Ripple. For the latest, check official sources like Ripple's blog or xrpl.org. Long-term outlook. If XRP integrates into the 7.5 quadrillion FX market or the $650 trillion RWA space, even modest capture rates support substantial growth. A supply burn could accelerate this by reducing dilution, but true value comes from utility. Community models like those from our Crypto Chrome show $66 on moderate burns, while longer horizons from our crypto deal news suggest 10,000 plus dollars as adoption scales. Additional takeaways. 1. Monitor escrow releases and on-chain activity for supply trends. 2. Demand growth from RWAs and ISO 2022 is a key watch point. 3. Burns enhance scarcity but depend on ecosystem health. 4. High targets require sustained adoption over years. 5. Diversify and verify all claims with reliable data. 6. Volatility is inherent. Never invest more than you can afford to lose. 7. Engage with the community for diverse perspectives, but filter for facts. 8. Track metrics like TVL, volume, and reserve changes via tools like XRP scan. This is purely educational content to help you understand the discussions around XRP. Markets can be unpredictable, so stay informed. If you found this breakdown useful, like the video, comment your thoughts on XRP's supply dynamics or long-term potential. Subscribe for more crypto analyses and share with others in the community. Let's foster informed conversations. Leo out.